What's up? Ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, Boogie2988 coming at you live once again through the power of the internet. And if you saw my previous video, you saw my trip to New York City where I attended the YouTube Creator Summit, I attended their Brandcast, and I talked to a bunch of different people from YouTube, both creators and engineers and CEOs, the whole 9 yards. And I want to share my experiences from that with you here. And obviously I showed you the vlogging version of it, but in that video, I promised you would both talk about my personal experiences going to New York City, and I would also talk about what I learned as a creator so that I can share that with other creators that weren't able to attend. And I think the most relevant information here is for other creators. I think that's a lot of the people that are going to watch this video. So if you want to hear my personal experiences, I'll stick that towards the end. But feel free to sit through because there's a lot of information here that even a viewer of YouTube could really use to understand what's going on the platform these days. And the summit took just a small handful of creators from every field and every demographic and small creators and big creators alike and put them all in one room with Google engineers, the CEO, the CBO, the people who are making the monetization changes, the algorithm changes, and allowed them to just talk to each other to try to get a better understanding of how we need to work together. What really amazed me is that if you look at this short list of 130 YouTube creators, you would see yourself as a creator represented there in some way, whether it's the topic that you talk about or the type of content that you produce or how long you've been on the platform or your level of success. They really did nail it. There were small creators from every field, big creators from every field, people who've been there for a year, people who've been there for 12 years like me. They really did a great job of getting a very good sampling of creators so they could hear at least a little bit from everybody. And even though not everybody can be there, I promise you were represented. I was very surprised by that. And part of this Creator Summit was dedicated to making the creators that were in that room better creators by motivation and by inspirational stories. They got other creators up on the stage and talked about their pitfalls and their successes and what they did right and what they did wrong. They had people outside of YouTube, such as the writer and director of Moonlight, the writer of Eat, Pray, Love. These people came up and shared inspirational stories, which if I were to try to repeat them, I would not do them justice anyway. But it's stuff that stuck in my head and my heart, and hopefully if I can employ what they were saying there, I can be a much better creator here on YouTube. And I really appreciated that because I needed a swift kick in my ass after the divorce and after the surgery. I needed the motivation, so I'm really grateful for that part. But the majority of the summit was an opportunity for the CEO, the CBO, the engineer, the monetization team, everybody that was there at YouTube to listen to the complaints and the issues that the creators have and how it's affecting our lives, how it's affecting our businesses, the way the decisions those guys are making are impacting the face of YouTube, so they all have a very solid understanding of what they're not just doing to me individually or you individually, but as to the platform as a whole and what public perception was amongst creators as well as our fans. And I think that's the best part to come out of the summit by far. Now, this is my first summit, so for the last 3 years, it's my understanding that sometimes this part of the summit could be very confrontational and very heated, and this year seemed to be fairly similar. You had a lot of people who were frustrated, who were irritated, who were worried about their view counts, or worried about their subscribers account, worried about getting people to actually watch their videos and how YouTube really wasn't helping them do that anymore. And every question that got asked pretty much had a very, very solid and well thought out answer. And I was very surprised by that. I really continue to believe that YouTube's biggest issue is they don't answer those questions in a much more direct way, in a much more visible way. If they were doing Q&As on video the way they were doing on that stage, I think it can make a big difference about public perception of the platform. I really do. And I think the general consensus that I got from people that work at YouTube is that what they're doing right now is an absurdly delicate dance trying to keep the viewers on the website happy, seeing content that they want to watch, seeing the creators they want to discover, and enjoying using the website and staying on it for a very long period of time, while also keeping creators like me happy to continue to create content for the platform. And not just me, but tens, hundreds of thousands of creators creating content every day, trying to create a livelihood. And in order for us to get that livelihood, they also have to please the people who advertise and fund the platform. And that's probably the biggest issue that they have, because those people are very absurdly particular. But if users disappear one day, then the entire platform crumbles. And if the creators disappear one day, then the entire platform crumbles. And if the advertisers disappear one day, they can't pay the creators, so there's nothing for you guys to watch, and the entire platform crumbles. And since advertisers have been the biggest issue for the last couple of years, that does seem to be where they're focusing their area. And I agree. I think, again, creators and users are getting neglected in that process. One of the things they announced at the summit actually viraled out on YouTube, and it got a lot of negative press for a very understandable reason. They announced that they were going to renew the Slow Mo Guys show, which I think everybody loves. Everybody loves Gavin and Dan. They love them getting their own show. They wish they would do more stuff like that with smaller YouTube creators, Rooster Teeth, whoever else, right? We all agree on that. But they also announced that they were partnering with Will Smith. They were renewing Kevin Hart's show. There was a few other big name celebrities they were bringing into the website. And again, this is something that is very frustrating, has been frustrating to me, and it maybe even as frustrating from here if I wasn't seeing things from their perspective. But once they explain it from their perspective, it makes a lot of sense. Advertisers who do not want to advertise on the website because they don't know who Boogie is, they don't know who Dan and Phil, the slow-mo guys, are. They do know Kevin Hart. They do know Will Smith, and Will Smith and Kevin Hart have made them a lot of money. And they would love to advertise on Kevin Hart and Will Smith's content. And guess what? When they advertise on their content, they advertise on yours and mine as well. And that makes everybody money. When the raft floats, we all rise. I should say, by the way, this is my own words. This is my own opinion. This is what I got out of the Creator Summit. Nobody told me to say this. Nobody wants me to say this. They're probably going to be mad that I said some of this, okay? So just so you know, this is just my opinion, not theirs. This is not an official video. I do not represent YouTube in any way. This is just my take on what I've learned and what I've heard. And Sammy decided he wanted to be part of this video. He really missed me when I was in New York. I missed you too, buddy. But in my personal opinion, based on the information that I've gathered, I think when they create rules here on the website to monetization changes, to algorithm changes, to subscriber changes, that kind of thing, the mass majority of that stuff is not there to target users like you or creators like me, or even to please the advertisers. I think a lot of what is happening there is to defeat what they are calling bad actors. And I don't really know what they mean by that, but I assure you, I don't think they mean people like, Adam Sandler, who's a bad actor, or even somebody that disagrees with them politically, or someone who doesn't agree with social justice. I don't think that's something they mean to target very frequently or very often. For example, I wouldn't, if they were targeting something like that, I would imagine something like InfoWars would no longer be on the website. I think what they are targeting when they say bad actors is people who are trying to use YouTube in very evil ways, criminal enterprises. That's the general consensus I get based on what they're saying, that we're going to make sure that those people are never successful on the website, that they are kicked off immediately, and that they are never using this website to do anything like that ever. They never have, and hopefully never will, and they're vigilant to make sure that never happens. The problem is the changes that they are making to make sure that never happens can impact us all. And that sucks, and it's really frustrating for all of us. The good news is YouTube seems to be very aware of almost every criticism that I've ever made or I've ever had, even some of the stuff that I was bringing to the summit to talk to them about. And they had answers prepared pretty much for all of this stuff. And the general consensus on this stuff is we are aware and we're working very, very hard to give creators more tools that allow them to be successful on the website. And in my opinion, and this is not theirs, I think the opportunity for YouTube to reach down and single-handedly pluck me or you out of the crowd and make us rich and make us famous, that opportunity is far and fewer than it's ever been. There's so much competition on the website, there's so few opportunities for them to do that, and they're not really particularly interested in doing that. What they are interested in doing is creating a suite of tools and an opportunity for everyone who will dedicate themselves to creating content, dedicate themselves to a small business, dedicate themselves to creating something good that's enjoyable that people want to watch. And if they have what it takes, those tools will give you an opportunity to find an audience. It's harder than it's ever been before, but they're trying to make it easier. But it seems to be very, very difficult based on the tremendous number of people that are producing content, and then also trying to keep advertisers and users happy long enough to watch that content. And I think some people might say, well, Boogie, now that you've been to this Creator Summit, now you're going to be weak on YouTube. And I think it's actually going to be quite the opposite. Now that I know that they're listening to me, and I know they're listening to creators far above me, and in many cases, creators who are not as successful as me, they say they listen to that stuff all the time. They grab those videos, they ship them around, they go around on mailing lists. Sometimes they even reach the CEO herself. And I think that's fantastic. I think that's amazing. It makes me want to be more critical of the website so that when I'm having issues, when things are going on, when other creators come to me with their issues, I can communicate it to them. Maybe now these days just an email instead of creating a video, but sometimes for a video as well. And I think the most important thing there is that they watch the videos that are made with empathy, the ones that are made with sympathy, the ones that are made to show both sides of the equation. And that's something I've always been very, very good at. So I think that's one of the reasons they will listen to me. And so I'm hoping to continue to criticize YouTube very, very frequently, knowing that they're listening, bringing our problems to the forefront. And I hope you guys trust me to do that, because apparently they do, at least a tiny little bit for now, until I screw up, which I'm sure I will. In summary, here's what I got from all of this. YouTube is very, very eager to keep their creators and their users and their advertisers happy. They're beginning to focus once again on the creators and the users and a little less on the advertisers now that advertisers are starting to come back around and be happy. They're trying to provide us as many tools to reach the users that we want to reach and create the content that we want to create and monetize that content so that we can get paid, so that we can create better content, and they want to make sure the end user experience is better than it's ever been. They are aware that there's some consumer confidence erosion. They are aware that there's creator confidence erosion, and they're actively trying to give us a ton of new tools, and I really look forward to seeing what happens between this summit and sometime next year. I really think we're going to see some interesting stuff. Some stuff I can talk about yet, some stuff I can't talk about yet, but all tools that I will use if they are ever provided to me. Some are in beta for other creators, some I may never get to use, some we may never get to use as a group, but hopefully all of those tools make it to our hands, and if they do, I'll use them, and you'll know about them because I'll be using them to reach out to you. But I now more than ever understand the plight of YouTube, because let's take it from my perspectives to start. Here on YouTube, I want you to watch as many of my videos as frequently as humanly possible, but I'm one of hundreds of thousands of creators, and those creators also want you to watch their videos as well. So they're trying desperately to get people to stop watching me to come watch them. And YouTube's advertisers, they care more about watch time overall. They want you to just continue to watch the website so you continue to see more ads so they can continue to make more money. And they don't want you watching me or another creator at all. They want you watching Kevin Hart. They want you watching Will Smith, because those are contents that they know they can trust, people they've worked with in the past, and they prefer you'd watch them. But YouTube is just happy that they're watching anything at all. And so they're always want to keep the creators happy, because that's what makes YouTube unique. They can afford to pay Will Smith to produce everything. They're not Netflix, and maybe they could afford it, but they don't want to. They would rather pay me or you, and they want users to watch the website for free, as opposed to what a mess. Just look at all the different angles there. And if you can empathize at all, if you can sympathize at all, you will empathize and sympathize with what a just tremendous mess that has to be to organize every day. And then throw in something like bad actors trying to use the website for criminal enterprises. I would not want to work for YouTube. I'm grateful for the people who choose to, because that's a heck of a job. You get a job in Walmart. All you got to do is bag groceries. It gets a lot easier than that. Keep it brief. Maybe I'll include more in a rambling video later in the week. But I felt very honored to get to go to something like this. It was my first trip traveling without my ex-wife, and I did bring a friend, but I didn't really need my friend that often. I did rent one of those stupid mobility scooters, and I very, very rarely used it. Only maybe sometimes when I had to go a few city blocks. But even when I was in downtown New York, near Radio City Music Hall and Rockefeller Center, I didn't even use it then. I didn't even bring it with me. I got to meet a lot of my favorite creators and met a tremendous amount of brand new creators who I was unfamiliar with, who've been on the platform for a short period of time, or maybe have been on here for a while and are not as successful as me, and plenty who are way more successful than me, way more successful than I've ever been. And getting to meet the YouTube team was probably one of the best experiences of my life, because it's so weird when you're creating this and you're kind of employed but not really employed, or working for a boss you've never met or you've never seen, or someone who's there to try to help you be creative, but they're only an email address or a disembodied voice on the phone. Being in the room with those people really personalizes things, and I wish that they could do this on a grander scale. I wish that the summit was something that they did for thousands of creators, sold tickets for, something to that effect. I wish there was a way that there was easier for them to do this on a grander scale, and until there is, I just can say that I am very, very grateful to get that time, to get those minutes, to get that understanding, and to get that privilege. And there's a tremendous amount of just luck to be selected and to get to do something as cool as all of that. And it was a blast. It was really a blast. Really helped my self-confidence, really helped my self-esteem. It really helped my body, because I got a tremendous amount of exercise, though I'm in a tremendous amount of pain. I had a lot of fun. Man, we'll talk about that in a rambling video. For now, let's wrap this one up. Let me say this. For the users who do use this website to find my content, even though it's become increasingly more difficult for you to do so, I can't thank you enough. It's people like you that have created an opportunity for me to rebuild my life, rebuild my body, travel the world, get to do some really cool stuff just by clicking like on a video or subscribe on a channel or that notification bell or leaving a comment or whatever it is you guys do to make sure that you're seeing my videos. You are changing my life. And I could have never imagined that it would lead to this kind of stuff and enjoying these kinds of things. And getting these types of opportunities and the opportunity to really see YouTube for the complicated mess that it can kind of be for them to run. I could have never imagined it would have grown to this size with this many users and this many creators and this many people running it. It's a miracle that it's still working at all. And I'll continue to plan for my post-YouTube plan, but I'm confident that they know what they're doing and that I'm going to be on YouTube for many more years to come, even though I know you guys will follow me anywhere. And I love you guys for it. If you're somebody from YouTube and made it all the way to the end of this video, by the way, thanks for watching, by the way. I really enjoyed the summit, and thanks for having me, and I appreciate the job you guys do. I appreciate you about as much as I appreciate my users, which is to say, to absolute death. Guys, thanks for watching. I love you very much, and I'll speak with you again soon.